Ladies and gentlemen, here to open today's forum luncheon session, please welcome NAWB Vice Chair Kathy Wyke.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to what we know will be a stimulating luncheon program. Before we begin, I'd like to draw your attention to the screens so we can acknowledge our sponsors. You're looking at the various levels of our sponsorship support as well as our exhibitor partners. While you're at the forum, when you see these representatives from these organizations, please take a moment to thank them for their generosity. We surely all appreciate it. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Acting Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Department of Labor's Employment and Training Division. Eric Selznow has two major priorities: helping to create a workforce that's prepared to meet the current and future demands of the nation's employers, and providing opportunities for all Americans to succeed in the 21st century workforce. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eric Selznow.
Wow, there's sure a lot of you out there. Good afternoon, everybody. Eric Selznow, Acting Assistant Secretary, Employment and Training Administration. And it is a pleasure to be here today. I'm used to sitting down over there, and it's a pleasure to be up here. What Kathy didn't say, and Ron and Steve and Kathy, thank you very much for having us here today. There's a lot of Department of Labor presence here, so we're happy to be here, but thanks for having us. I've been coming to these NAWB, NAWB, NAPIC conferences since 1999, so it's a pleasure to be here, and I think this is maybe the second time I've been able to stand up here, so thanks for having us. I'm a proud former member of this organization, but here at DOL, we're here in force this week. I think we're doing 11 workshops. We're here with my senior leadership team tomorrow to do a plenary if any of you are left. Secretary's here today. It'll be 25 folks tomorrow. But we're here, we're open for business, we're transparent, we want to talk to you and have our senior leadership available for you. So there's a lot of folks from DOL here today, Employment and Training Administration particularly, but we're here and we're looking forward to working with you. So we have a big tent. I noticed upstairs we have our Office of Workforce Investment is up there, Job Corps is up there, apprenticeships up there, and our veterans staff are here, so we're well represented. I used to be, what's most important about my introduction is what was left off is I used to be a local WIB director. For those of you who don't know me, I was a local WIB director for, it's the hardest damn job I ever had, let me tell you. And I worked in prisons for 25 years, so that should tell you something. So as a local WIB director, I then was a state WIB director. And my relationship with all my friends at the local level changed. We still know and love each other. And now we're at the federal level. And it's my pleasure to introduce our Secretary of Labor. And let me just tell you a little bit about our Secretary of Labor. I've known him for many years. He was my county commissioner, my county council member. I used to have to go sit in front of him when he was on a higher desk and talk about my budget and be nice to him and all that. But I actually got to like him after that. And he was always there, and he was a friend of workforce in my county when he was a local elected official. And thank goodness, because he's been in one-stops. He's talked to people in one-stops. He's talked to staff, American Job Centers. He knows them. He's not unfamiliar. He's visited probably 25 since he's been secretary. He was also a state labor secretary in the state of Maryland, where I was fortunate to work with him at the state of Maryland. And, he got issues. He got unemployment. He got, workforce. He got ex-offender reentry. He got all the issues that you all deal with every day. And he had that position during the height of the downturn in 2008 and 2009. So he's been there through it with all of you. And now at the federal level. And Secretary Perez is a civil rights lawyer by training and education, did a stint over at the Department of Justice heading that. And so he gets fundamental fairness and equal opportunity for all, which is many of the things we do. So we believe at the Department of Labor these days and all days in engaging employers in a very big way about strengthening the partnerships we have at the local, regional level and doing neat things like expanding apprenticeship in this country, which is far underutilized. So we have a lot on our plates, a lot on our agenda. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you not only a friend, somebody who's become a friend of mine, but I think a friend of yours, Secretary of Labor Tom Perez.
Good afternoon. It's great to be here with you. Thank you so much. I heard Eric say it was the toughest darn job he ever had working in local government because he had to spend time with me. So I just wanted to fill that in a little bit. It really is an honor to see so many familiar faces here. Spent a lot of time in Detroit. I just saw Pam there. They've done a fantastic job putting folks to work. Front row seat. Wow, who'd you know? All right. It really, I have the following problem, which is that I have difficulty holding a job. Which is ironic. We're sitting here talking about jobs. I was in local government. I was in state government. Now I have the privilege of working in the federal government. And what it helps me do in my current job is it informs me. We're all a function of our life experiences. And I had the privilege of working with Eric at a local level. And I'll tell you, I'd love to take you to the Montgomery County Jail and show you the one-stop we put in behind in the jail. And I can tell you, as a county council member, the return on investment of that was unbelievable. And then I can take you to the state of Maryland and show you some of the stovepipes we imploded in our efforts to build an industry-driven workforce model that was premised on partnership, understood that we needed to take the job seeker where we found them, so that if somebody, their biggest barrier was they needed a transportation voucher, we understood that that was their biggest barrier, so we need to deal with that. Or if their biggest barrier was childcare, we understood that. Or they were remarkably well-educated but limited English proficient. We understood that. And so you learn things when you work at a local level because the rubber hits the road where you all are today. And that has helped inform me in my judgment here. And so I have 3, 4, or 5 things I want to do. First of all, I want to say thank you. Secondly, I want to talk about where we've been. Then I want to talk about where we are. And then I want to talk about where we need to go. And let me start by saying something that people don't say to y'all often enough, which is indeed thank you. I mean, you reflect on where we have been over the last 7 years. And your work was never and continues to be as important as ever. I mean, the American Job Centers were the emergency rooms for job seekers during the Great Recession. And you were asked to do so much with so many people coming in, and you rose to the occasion. And I saw it firsthand. And I want to say, on behalf of this administration, thank you to all of you for what you did. I don't know where we would be in America without the work that you all did. Whether you are an employee of the local government, whether you're an employee of the state government, whether you're one of my colleagues at the Department of Labor, we were all in this together. People needed our help more than ever. You were there for them. It is so inspiring to go and visit you. It's remarkably inspiring to go to Detroit Manufacturing Systems, Pam, and we see Andra Rush, who sat with the First Lady at the State of the Union. She had a vision. Single mom, Native American, business owner, wanted to get into the auto business. And she is now the supplier, the sole supplier of the consoles to Ford Motor Company that are used to build the F-150 truck, the best-selling truck in America, by the way. And Andra's doing it. And you know who was her HR department when she went from 0 employees to 800 employees? It was the American Job Center. Pam, our state folks, our federal folks, working together, remarkable business leaders. And for those of you in the business community who are chairs of your WIB, I want to say thank you to you, because I have spent a lot of time with y'all in the course of my work. I just spoke to our former director of our governor's Workforce Investment Board, because he's leaving Maryland area and moving to Seattle, Tacoma, to take a new job out there. And boy, I spent a lot of time with him, and he is fantastic. And I have such an appreciation for what you're doing, because I tell you, the philosophy that we understood in Maryland and the philosophy that this president takes to the job today in terms of workforce creation is understanding that we must always be industry driven. We cannot grow jobs in this country without talking to the job creators. You are the job creators, large, mid, small-sized businesses. We must talk to you. We are talking to you, and we will continue to talk to you, because you know what? We cannot train and pray anymore. You know, if there's no demand for widget makers, if no one's hiring widget makers, then let's make sure we're not training any widget makers. Let's make sure we understand what your demand needs are. Let's make sure we focus on our partnerships and we build those industry-driven systems that are truly aligned to the needs of employers, meet job seekers where they are, put partnership up front, and make progress. And I will tell you, I come to you with a remarkably deep, deep reservoir of optimism. And why do I have optimism? Well, I have optimism first and foremost because I've been in foxholes with y'all, and I know your resilience. I know the critical role that you play, and I know that we can do even more. I have optimism because I am traveling this country talking to employers, talking to workers, talking to community college presidents, talking to WIB chairs, talking to workers who want to get back on their feet. And I hear from employers the same thing, whether I'm in Seattle a few weeks ago or whether I was in New Hampshire with the vice president last Tuesday. I hear the following: I am bullish about my future as a business owner. There are many reasons I am bullish. If you're in manufacturing, you look at the cost of energy. You look at the IP challenges overseas. You see labor costs rising in China. You see the fact that we have the best human capital on the planet Earth. And you say to yourself, my future is good here. So when I was in Syracuse recently, visiting a small business, actually they're pretty large, they're now about 600, in Pulaski, New York. In Pulaski, they call it Pulaski. In Chicago, they call it Pulaski. In Buffalo, they call it Pulaski. But in Syracuse area, they call it Pulaski. And they are a small business owner who's really a pretty large business owner, 600 strong. They manufacture HVAC systems. They have a global footprint. They want to grow their footprint even more. And their biggest challenge is, I need to get more workers with the skills to do this job so that I can move forward. I need more electricians. I need more people who are HVAC specialists. I need more people in the skilled trades. That's what they tell me. I go out to Boeing and I learn from them that they have an aging workforce. Present company excluded, the population is aging. And so we have challenges. There is a bright future in America for people who work with their hands. I learned so much from the experience in Germany. You know, 23% of employers participate in registered apprenticeship programs there, as opposed to 1% here. And so I see the bullishness in the eyes of employers. I see the opportunities that abound. I see 48 consecutive months of private sector job growth to the tune of 8.7 million jobs. I see 3 to 4 million vacancies right now, and we talk to sectors about the various challenges they have. And I was with the folks in the Silicon Valley last week, and opportunities abound for them. Opportunities abound down in Florida for people who are working at Tampa Electric. Opportunities abound in Northern California for people in the utility industry. We have great opportunities. That's where we are today. We're making progress, but we've got to pick up the pace of our recovery. And you are at the center of the action, because I truly believe that the issue of skills is the issue of America. Making sure, it's a simple proposition, that anybody who's willing to work hard and get the skills they need to succeed can do so. That is the basic bargain of America. That's what the president is talking about day in and day out. It's the essence of opportunity. Growing our jobs, making sure they pay well, making sure people have the skills to do those jobs, making sure everybody has access to a quality education, and making sure we reward work with a fair wage and we're paying off. That's the essence of opportunity. And we are in this room. You are in the center of this activity. And I want to talk to you about some of the things that we're doing, because the reason why the vice president is leading this effort on skills and training is because the president recognizes that all of you are at the center of activity. I was at an American Job Center with the Vice President last week. It is very heartening, and I hope you have seen some of the speeches or read some of the speeches that the President has given, because he talks about you a lot. And he talks about you because he understands the important role that you're playing. And he has tasked the Vice President with leading an effort to ensure that what we do in our skills agenda is second to none. And we have 5 goals in the work that we're doing in our skills agenda. Number 1 is to expand, deepen, and sustain employer partnerships, making it easier for businesses to find work. Again, as I said before, if you're going to create jobs, you got to talk to the job creators. And I've spoken to so many employers who have made great use of American Job Centers, who have been at the center of so many partnerships across this country. But I've also spoken to a lot of employers who haven't heard of an American Job Center and haven't made use of it. And so we've got some work ahead. And that's why that's an important goal here. We want to make it easier for individuals to acquire those in-demand skills. Again, understanding that we need to meet the individuals where we find them. We've done so many remarkable things around this country, and I have seen the work that you have done. We, in essence, have a tree falling in the woods problem. There's so much good work being done, but we need to tell the world about it. We haven't done a good enough job of telling the world about it, and we need to take that work to scale. Taking promising practices in Western New York and Rochester, where partnerships, got some Rochester folk here? All right, I like Rochester. I grew up in Buffalo. So taking those partnerships, those promising practices that flow from them, and talking about how we scale up. We need to reward innovation and encourage innovation, and that's a third pillar of what the Vice President is doing. Making sure we look at our waiver programs and understand that they are out there. I'm always amazed at the number of people who say to me, there's no flexibility in these programs. It's a straitjacket. And then I explain to them all the various waivers that have been granted. And I'll tell you, we talk about the long-term unemployed. One of the most prolific use of waiver programs and waiver dollars has been local boards and states and others who have made great use of on-the-job training funds. We were in New Hampshire last week. We met with a small business owner, and he does work in the microwave engineering field. So he does a lot of work with DOD. He does work in cell towers and other things. He has very eclectic needs for his workforce, including engineers. And he found an engineer through this OJT program. 40 years, an engineer. He lost his job through no fault of his own 9 months ago. Using these OJT funds, where we subsidized part of the wage for a number of months, this employer is our biggest fan. And he's now done it with 2 other employees, and he's batting 1,000. And so that sort of innovation is happening across America. And we need to do a better job of making sure people know that that innovation is possible, and then encouraging your work in these areas. A fourth area of focus is we want to promote what works. We want to fix what doesn't work. And if we can't fix what doesn't work, then we don't want to do it anymore, because we don't have enough dollars to do things unless they are indeed working. And so a lot of conversations underway about accountability, and we were with a bunch of folks last week at DOL who are recipients in the Workforce Innovation Fund dollars, listening to what they're doing. And it's remarkable what they're doing. And I want to say thank you if any of you were grantees who were here last week, because you're subjecting yourself to rigorous evaluation, and you are helping everybody across America, because you're enabling us to understand exactly what works and why and how we take it to scale. So that's the fourth part of what we're doing. And the last part, last but not least, is raising up the issue of registered apprenticeships. There is a bright future in this country for people who work with their hands. I was with the CEO of PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, about a week ago. And he blew my mind when he was talking about the level of investment that there is going to be across this country in the trillions of dollars in infrastructure over the course of the next few years. These are dramatic opportunities for people. And I've gone to these apprenticeship programs. You come out of these programs, you're making $52,000 a year, $32 an hour. He was telling me about employees who are utility line workers who are making six-figure salaries because of the overtime that they're receiving. These are remarkable opportunities. And the whole world of apprenticeship is not simply limited to the world of apprenticeship that we often have in our mind, in the skilled trades. Apprenticeship has great application in healthcare, in IT, cybersecurity, and other settings. And we really need to take a page from our colleagues and friends in Germany and elsewhere, in which apprenticeship has the stature that it deserves. Because I don't know why this happened, but over the last few decades, we've somehow devalued this. And all too frequently in my travels, I talk to school superintendents or parents, and I tell them about the bright future that apprenticeship has. And they tell me, not for my kid. My kid's going to college. And I get that. But then I explain to them, when you complete that program at Tampa Electric, you have a credential. And it's a stackable credential. And you're on the education highway. And you can get on and off as you like. And you go to that Tampa Electric upper management, many of them started as line people. And they got on the education highway, and they got another credential. Then they got a 4-year degree, and now look where they are. And so opportunities abound. I was at an IBEW apprenticeship program in the Bay Area a few weeks ago, and this guy looked me in the eye. He was so happy. And he said, "Did you ever watch Willy Wonka?" I said, "Yeah, about 15 years ago when my oldest was like 4. I got the golden ticket, Tom. I got the golden ticket." "What do you mean?" "I'm a journeyman apprentice. I'm making 80 grand. And the woman who was next to him said, "I don't know what a golden ticket is, but I feel like him." And she was telling me about how, my parents, they wanted me to go to college, and I went there for a year, and I was floundering. And then I found this apprenticeship program. And now I'm a journey person. And now I'm making good money. And my parents have figured out that I was right. So we got a lot of work to do in here because opportunities abound for people to punch their ticket to the middle class. And all of you are in the center of this. And it starts with partnership. That's the thing I learned above and beyond everything. Partnership and understanding that we need a demand-driven system. Those are the two major lessons that I've learned. And it has to be aligned. And that's what we continue to do. And that's what I see you doing. And that's really the segue to the work ahead. Because we've come a long way. I've seen transformation occurring everywhere across this country. I've seen the great work that you're doing. I've seen the partnership at a local level. And so what we have to do now in terms of the where we go from here is we need to make sure that this tree falling in the woods phenomenon, that we figure out how we scale this. Where are the promising practices? And how do we lift up those promising practices? How do we continue this focus on innovation? And so I would challenge you, if you have an idea about how to better serve your communities, I have an idea, Tom, for how we can put in place an initiative that will help our employers grow their businesses and help workers punch their ticket to the middle class. Let us know. And if there's a barrier, let us work through that together. Because I have seen innovation at work. I used to love this guy named Rodney Dangerfield. And I know you're wondering, how did he just segue to Rodney Dangerfield? Well, he used to, do this thing with his tie. He'd say, I don't never get no respect. Well, when I reflect on all of you in this room and the workforce system and the American job centers and all this stuff, I can't help but think, collectively, we don't get enough respect. My mother, I can't say no respect because my mother taught me years ago, that is not how you talk, Tom. But we don't get enough respect. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to get more respect because we need to tell the world what we're doing. What we really need to do, and this is where the civil rights lawyer in Tom Perez comes out, We need to build a movement. That's how you get things done in this country. You build a movement. And you know what? We have all the ingredients of a remarkable movement. We've got need. We've got so many job seekers who need to upskill. We've got so many employers who want to grow. We need to continue to strengthen our middle class. And we have opportunities across this country right now for people to punch their ticket to the middle class today and tomorrow. And we need to put that all together in a movement. And the way we do that is to demonstrate the value proposition. And the value proposition is this. Over the course of the Great Recession, we did more things for more people to help them than ever before. Our value of partnership is there. The work that you continue to do with community colleges is remarkable. And I've seen it at work. And I've also heard time to time frustration with that work. And I'm here to tell you, we're all in this together. And I went out to Colorado. And I remember going to Front Range Community College when we announced one of our TAC grants. And I remember talking to the employers there who were so heavily involved in that program. And then I remember talking to the folks in the local workforce system who were helping those students get jobs. Everybody was links on a chain. And you're only as good as your weakest link. And so we need to make sure that every link is on that chain, and we need to make sure that every link is as strong as possible. And that's what we're trying to do now. That's what we are doing now. And we make sure they are strong through our investments in innovation, through making sure that the DNA of every workforce investment board across this country is the DNA of partnership, the DNA of demand-driven philosophy, the DNA of taking a worker where we find them and making sure that our links on our chain are as robust as possible. So we have a child care link. We have basic English skill link. We have links that enable people who are coming out of prison to have those opportunities as well. Every link is connected. Every employer is engaged. Every innovative practice is studied so that we can take it to scale if appropriate, and we cannot take it to scale if not appropriate. That's what we're trying to do across this country. And I need your help in promoting this movement. Because I'll tell you, you compare our public workforce investment in America with Germany and with other countries, we don't hold a candle to them. But we are not going to get these increases until we demonstrate the return on investment to an even greater extent. We demonstrate our commitment to partnership in action, which is there, but it's a tree falling in the woods all too frequently. And we will not get there until we continue to succeed and take to scale the promising practices that we see. And so that is what we are doing now. And that is what I need your help in, because I've seen it out there. We need to continue to build this movement. And we need your help in a most immediate area. And I really want to conclude my remarks here because I want to have time to take questions. And this is the area that, quite frankly, keeps me up the most at night. And this is the area of helping the long-term unemployed. The most challenging remaining legacy of the Great Recession is the plight of the long-term unemployed. In the normal recovery period after a recession, the rate of long-term unemployment tends to be about 1%. Right now we have a long-term unemployment rate of about 2.5%. Imagine where we would be as a nation if we were able to reduce that. We would have an unemployment rate of 5.2% instead of 6.7%. And let's move away from statistics for the moment, because when I think about this issue, I think about people. And I have made it a point to go out and do focus groups across this country with the long-term unemployed. And they inspire me. They inspire me with their stick-to-itiveness. I met a group last week, and this one guy looked me in the eye and said, "There's no quitting me." Met another person from New Jersey who said, 8 years ago, I had a chemo drip in my arm because I was fighting for my life with cancer. And fighting cancer was far easier than fighting long-term unemployment. Met a woman named Catherine Hackett from Connecticut. Mother of 2, single mom. Her one kid is special forces, deployed in Afghanistan. Another kid who's in the military as a doctor. She has spent her whole life, like everyone I have met, playing by the rules. And she got hit in this great recession through no fault of her own. And they're struggling to get back. I met a woman from Wellesley struggling to get back. I met a person with a 9th grade education struggling to get back. All of them, their full-time job is looking for a full-time job. And we need to help them, even more than we have, because I know you have worked your tails off. And I have heard from some that their experience with American Job Centers got them back on their feet. And I have heard from others that their experience wasn't so good. And it's on us. We got to keep it up. Because I will confess to you, I sense in this town, among some UI fatigue. And you know what? I'll tell you, this president has no UI fatigue. This Department of Labor has no UI fatigue. Every day I meet another person struggling to get back to work, I am inspired by them. This is what keeps me up at night more than anything in this job, and I need your help moving forward. Because we got to get this done. This is a note I got from Catherine. This was after she had just gotten the latest rejection from her job interview. And she said, Tom, I just asked my Marine how he has been trained to remain positive during dire situations. He texted the following, and this is in quotes. It is important to find small victories. They taught us that during SERI school. SERI stands for Survival, Evasion, Resistance, and Escape School. That's how the POWs in Vietnam stayed hopeful and positive despite their circumstances. And so, in honor of my son and the hard work he does, I will focus on finding small victories each day. It is so difficult to be overlooked time and time again. I know you've had those conversations with folks because north, south, east, and west, they are everywhere. That's why we have a grant on the street right now ready to work. We need your help. I hope you are involved in partnerships and that you will come together so that we can learn from your experience. The president brought together CEOs of Fortune 500 companies and small companies to talk about this issue. And I remember one CEO of a very large company who said, one of the things we do as a matter of course is we do a credit check on people when we're about to hire them. Well, you know what? When someone's been out of a job for 1.5 years, guess what? And to his credit, he said, you know what? We're not going to do that anymore because it's not job related. So like Catherine, we're going to look for small victories and large victories every single day. And I need your help. I know OJT works, but I need your help because I really do sense fatigue on the Hill. Well, you know what? And I said, I frankly sense in some states that there are state officials who are concerned about the burden of administering emergency benefits when they will be restored. And it is a when question, not an if question. And you know what I say to that? Because people in states have told me this, and I was in a state, so I have a little bit of street cred. The burden of doing something retroactively, which parenthetically we've only done 5 times in the last 4 years, pales in comparison to the burdens that the Catherine Hackett's of the world confront every day. So we need your help. We need your help to say to folks here in Washington, These folks need that lifeline again. We need your help to say to folks here in Washington, these folks aren't sitting at home watching the NCAA eating bonbons. They are looking for a job every single day. They are not lazy people. They are people who are hardworking, talented, who fell on bad times through no fault of their own and need a lifeline. We need your help to get that message out. And I want to thank those business owners, like the business owner Mike Smith in New Hampshire, who last week was talking about how my taking a flyer on 3 long-term unemployed was the smartest thing I ever did. And we need your help there. And I will tell you, by the way, Catherine now has a job. And I'm excited for her. And she's excited for her. And so we got a lot of work ahead of us. But I want you to know that in the Department of Labor, you got folks there like Eric and the dedicated career professionals who are there. They got game. They're in it with you. They want to learn from you. They want to be pushed by you. Because we have the most remarkable set of opportunities that we've ever had. People need jobs. People need skills to do those jobs. And that's what we all do for a living. And so that's what gets me out of bed every day. We got a lot of work to do. But I know, because I've been in your shoes, I've been in foxholes with many of you, and I hope to get in foxholes with more of you. I know that we can do this. We're going to take this to scale. We're going to deal with the problems and challenges of the long-term unemployed. We're going to continue to innovate. We're going to build a movement that will enable us to take to scale what we need to take to scale. We are going to put aside what doesn't work, and we are going to shine a spotlight on what does work. And there's a heck of a lot that works across this country because you're leading it. You're doing it. And I want to say thank you again, and have a nice day. I don't know if we have time for any questions or not. Probably not.
You can take 1 or 2.
Okay. Great. Thank you. I'm told I have time. We have time for maybe 2 questions. And whoever asks the first question gets the rest of the day off.
Good afternoon. My name is Tammy Molinelli, and I'm the Executive Director for the Bergen County, New Jersey Workforce Investment Board. And I'd like to know how organized labor and businesses can really help us participate in identifying the skill gaps. Do you have any examples or any suggestions in regards to that?
Great question, and we have spent a lot of time in our sector strategy initiatives answering that question. I was with the UAW leadership recently talking about this issue. What are the challenges in the trades, for instance? Ford Motor Company is also confronting a lot of retirements, and so they're in the process of figuring out, as the automotive industry is in the process of figuring out, what are our demand needs over the next 10 years. And so that's why we've invested so much more in our sector strategies, because understanding that will enable us to work in partnership with educators and others to make sure that we're connecting those needs with credentials and making sure that those credentials are portable, so that if you get through an IBEW program in the Bay Area, you know that program, if you get that journeyman certificate, you can take it to Maine if you decide to settle there. That's what we need to do. And that's why our focus on sector strategies and understanding demand needs and working with national organizations, like Eric and I were meeting last week with the Business Roundtable. We also have met recently with national labor leaders, but we also want to take it down to a regional level, because we understand that the regional differences are critically important to understand. So a demand strategy for the southeastern United States may look quite different than a demand strategy for the northwestern United States.
Thanks again for being here. My name is Melinda Mack. I'm with the New York State Workforce Association, also called NAWB. My question is around Vice President Biden's review of job training programs. I'm interested to understand what USDOL's role in that is, and then how we all in this room can help inform that process.
That's a great question. Was that question planted? Don't answer that question on advice of counsel. No. Let me answer the second question first, because the answer to the second question is we need your input. And we've done a lot of meetings already. I'm doing another meeting later today with a subset of you here. And we're staffing the vice president. I was with him last week because we want to take him across America to see this work in action. Again, I really believe that American job centers have been underappreciated. And the more we can do to lift up the work that is done, the better off we'll be. And so in the weeks ahead, I invite you to give us your advice on what are the 2 or 3 most important things that the federal government, and by the way, it's not just the Department of Labor, the federal government can do to build a truly demand-driven workforce system in which is business-friendly, which gives people the opportunity to get the in-demand skills they need, which promotes innovation, is heavy on accountability and program measurement, and lifts up apprenticeship. What are your ideas for taking us forward in these areas? Because I think if we can get a handle on this, we can really take our progress to scale. And so keep those cards and letters and emails and calls coming, and we're going to figure out ways to do that. And if you have a particular email that comes to mind now, you can send it to skills@dol.gov. Great. I think we're all set. I probably need to run. Thanks again for your time. Really appreciate it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy your lunch.